It's on YouTube, Ox Billiards homepage.
Gotcha.
All right, folks, thank you all for joining us this evening. It is 6 p.m. here in Seattle, Washington. We have a match between Kyle Leck and Rafael Guajardo. They are playing 10 ball, race to 9. Looks like Kyle is going to win the lag here. So they are playing rack your own. 10 ball early is good if called. No 10 ball on the break. And they are also doing winner break format here. All right, so Kyle here to set off to break rack 1. He has a Fargo rate score of 480, and Raf has a score of 505. You can see the odds there on the scoreboard as well. So Kyle with the dry break here, but not the best opening shot here on the 1. See if he decides to go aggressive here and just tries to pot that 1 in the top right corner, or if he decides to play defense and maybe send the 1 behind that 10 ball while also kind of moving the cue towards this 5-6 cluster. Okay, opted for the other way. Yeah, he definitely didn't want to make contact with the 3 there, but no open shot here really for Kyle. Unless he wants to be a little ambitious and maybe make the 5 off of the 1. So maybe hitting the 1 with some bottom right. Going for the 5, but I feel like he's probably just going to play... Okay, he did go for it a little bit, but pretty good two-way shot here. Not really giving up an open pocket. All right, so Raf may be going for a 110 combo here. It's a little touchy, but not entirely impossible. I think I would probably just go for the reverse bank here in the side pocket. You know, he has that 5 that he can kind of clip the 1 off of. Okay, feels better about the top left corner. That is the cue ball's natural path anyway, so sending the 1 up that way, and then having a pretty open shot on the 2 next. Okay, playing a little bit of a two-way. Thank you all for joining the stream here. This is Ox Billiards in Seattle, Washington. My name is Zach Ross, commentating this match here. Good evening, good morning, or good afternoon, wherever you are tuning in from. Really nice call here from Kyle. Doesn't give up the shot either. It was a really good two-way call there. He did have an open look on the 2 if he was successful. Now I imagine Raf will be hiding either the cue ball or the 1 behind this cluster here. Okay, just leaked out a little bit. Hit a little bit too hard. But still, no easy gimmies here early on in the rack. Both these players playing pretty cautiously. Kyle's calling the top left corner. Even this shot, even though it's a miss, still no open shot. So I think maybe that one shot from Kyle was the only open shot of the rack so far.
Try safe.
Hey, Ricardo in the chat, shouting out his cousin, Raf. Thanks for joining this evening. Good contact here. All right, a long miss there from Kyle, but now Raf's got an opportunity to start pocketing some of these balls. I think if he just hits this with a straight top, or even if you hit this middle, should be able to come back a middle table for the 2 in the right side pocket. Speed control is going to be pretty important here. Okay, I like this. Ends up going up and down table. That way you can really just let your stroke out, and you don't have to be too cautious about position. Michael in the chat saying, "Go, Kyle." All right, so got some fans of both players here in the chat. Welcome this evening. All right, so Raf's just going to draw for this 2 and get position for the 3. Okay, opts for a stun. I like this. Now he kind of guarantees that he'll be on the left side of the table to have a look at the 4. Now with all those balls lined up, I would suspect that he just sends the 4 to the bottom rail and then hides the cue ball behind the 6. But it's going to be pretty important to get a good position on this after this 3. Okay, yeah, I think he can still do it. Just kind of send the 4 just past the 6 on the right side there and have the cue ball nestle up right behind the 6. I think that's kind of the best choice for this safety. Oh, he accidentally bumped the 6, but, not giving an open pocket. Kyle has a couple choices here. He can either try to play aggressive and cut this 4 into the bottom right corner, or he can actually send the 4 2 rails up past the 10, leaving the cue ball kind of down by this 9 corner here in the bottom left, just giving some separation between the cue ball and the 4. But yeah, so I think that's what he tried to do, and really excellent defense here. Just glued to that 7. Really smart play here. All right, so Raf looking at the 2-rail kick, trying to make contact with that 4. He's going to need the second rail to hit, probably between that first and second diamond on the right side there. He's going to have to hit it with some pace too. Putting a little bit of left on this just to make sure that it gets around. Pretty close. That was a really good attempt with what he was given. So pretty good opportunity here from Kyle. I think this is actually his first open opportunity. He's kind of had to shoot and hide on those first opening shots here in the first rack. For those of you just joining us, this is a 10-ball race to 9 match, winner break format. The winner, it's also rack your own. And they are playing early 10, so it's kind of, I think Kyle might be going for this right now. Just a little 4-10 combo here on the side. Barely misses it. But you know what? I don't mind that opportunity because the 6, 7, 9 in this line makes it pretty difficult to kind of run out. So I don't mind kind of being ambitious with that combo early on. Nice strike there from Raf. I think he's going to maybe try to bump the 6 out. Plays this with a little bit of bottom left. He can make the 5 inside and have that cue ball bump the 6 out of the way. Really nice shot. Came up a little straight on it, but it's not the end of the world. Okay, he's going to opt for the bank here just because that cut is pretty steep. Gonna have to hit this fairly hard just to keep the bank line. Yeah, I went with a little softer touch, but it's not a bad two-way shot. So Kyle can get at this 6 if he puts a bunch of right on the cue ball and just kind of barely passes the 10, or if he chooses, we'll go 2 rails here. Just kind of appears to be what he's sizing up. If he's going to do the 2 rails, he needs to hit the cue ball between this first and second diamond with maybe some right English, so that when it hits this lower rail, kind of come into the... Okay, really nice shot here. Yeah, made contact, hit the rail afterward. So another safety play here from Raf. Just going to try to get the cue ball all the way and nestle that 6 up right behind the 9. I leaked out a little bit, but it's not bad. A lot of defensive strategy here in the first rack. both players being careful not to give up a run out. Kyle's going to send this cue ball just to the other side of the 7. Okay. Really trying to change up the game here a little bit. Maybe getting a little tired of the back and forth safeties and just trying to get the game going. Sounds like Raf called safe. I've heard a couple different philosophies on 10 ball and whether you should call safety or not. I've always kind of been under the impression that you call a pocket just in case the ball that you're contacting happens to go in. That way you still have control of the table. But I think either way works fine, especially if you're playing this kind of safety shot. Alright, so Kyle's going to kick at this and just probably kick softly so that the 6 hides behind the 9. Unless, he wants to play aggressive and kind of just break it out. Yeah. I think this is an okay choice. You don't want the game to get, I guess, too defensive heavy, if you will. You obviously don't want to, give up some opening shots, but at the same time, you don't want to play too cautiously. All right, a little bit friendly bump here. And Raf is not on top of the 10, so I think I would probably just shoot this 8 ball all the way down to the right corner. Just because that side pocket shot is a little touchy. Really nice execution. All right, so Raf just needs to draw this off of the rail, avoid that side pocket. So he's going to want to put a little bit of bottom right. I'd probably say about 5 o'clock on the cue ball. Just draw this back 2 rails to the 10. Okay, caught the pocket just before, so not going to get as much action as he was anticipating, but nonetheless has made 3 balls in a row, so looking pretty good here. It's going to call the bank. I like this shot. I would probably play this as a stop shot just in case 10 does happen to sort of catch the jaws. But this is a beauty. Really nice out here from Raf. Putting him up 1-0 over Kyle. It is winner break and winner rack, so Raf will be racking here. Thank you all again for joining me this evening. My name is Zach Ross. We are live here at Ox Billiards in Seattle, Washington. If you are interested in having a match streamed here at Ox and you are a member, check your emails. Mike Dominguez did send out an email notifying all members about this setup. Yeah, really hard fought first rack, a lot of defensive play, really solid defensive play. All right, so both these players breaking just off center on the 10-ball rack. Strong break here, making the 2 and the 3 in the same upper left pocket. And he does have a pretty decent look at the 1. Unfortunately, he will be sort of jacked up over the 4 in order to hit this 1 clean. But the layout is looking pretty good. 4 to the 5 is a little bit touchy, but there's a lot of real estate there where you can swing the cue ball around and get back up table. And then the 6 to the 7, as long as you're in a sort of a crossover position, you should be able to land on that 7 pretty smooth. But opening shot here is pretty key. You don't want to hit this too hard, only because you do want to have shape of the 4. Yeah, I got the shape he needed, but unfortunately, because he was jacked up over that, kind of difficult. All right, so good opportunity here for Kyle to capitalize. I'd play this with stun or just a tiny bit of draw. Make sure you have a good look on the 4. Oh, and just a little bit of a rattle. Alright, so Raf just making sure that he can hit this 1, but if he can't hit it clean, he can at least go rail first here, just before the right jaw. Kind of swing the cue ball around. Which he ended up doing, unfortunately landing on the bottom side of the 4, but not the worst leave in the world. You can always just kind of send the 4 to the backside of the 8. So I'm a little bit worried about this only because the 4 might pop out enough to where the cue ball has a shot, but we'll see. At least he's giving distance. Wasn't able to completely hide either the cue ball or the 4, but sometimes distance is your friend when playing safeties. Because the 4 to the 5 from this position is going to be pretty difficult. I would hit this with a lot of top and hope that I could come 3 rails with the top speed. Looks like Kyle is hitting with top. Yeah, caught that one pretty thick. But again, not a terrible outcome. Raf calling the top left corner here at the 4 ball. He's got a 6 and a 9 and some blockers to prevent him from scratching in that top right corner, while also being able to get positioned for the 5, so might as well go for it here. Yeah, ended up pretty good for that 5. But unfortunately, there is a shot here now on the 4, so Kyle's got a decent opportunity to get this run going. Just hasn't quite found the stroke yet in this game, but pretty lucky safety here. All right, so Raf is calling the 5 ball. Let's get a little bit closer look here. All right, so if I'm Kyle, I'm calling this lower left corner, and I'm just kicking at it. If you kick this with decent speed, the cue ball, okay, he's going to call the side pocket. It's not a bad call. I just think the corner pocket is much easier because the angle is less intense. Unfortunately, hit that too soft, so it's going to be a ball in hand here. No contact with the rail after the hit. So that is 1 foul. I believe they are playing 3 foul. I can double check here. Or we can just wait to see if 3 fouls occur. Alright, so I would just run this with some top spin. You just really have to make sure that you get on the other side of the 6. So I would, if you want to let your stroke out, I don't mind running this cue ball to the short rail at the top. But he hit this pretty perfect. Overran it a little bit, but it's not too terrible of a back cut here. The real test is going to be holding it for the 6, so if you are back cutting it, you might want to consider putting some left spin on it just to kind of shorten the speed and the angle that it takes off of the 5. Just kind of looks like what he's doing. Yeah, hit that pretty well. And the 6 does go by the 9 on the top right corner, so even though he's a little bit further away from it than he would prefer, it is still makeable. And going 2 rails would be ideal, just to slow that cue ball down. And so just barely missing that 6.
Save, Kyle. Save.
All right, so safety here from Raf. Going to force Kyle to either return safety or go for a bank shot. All right, so Kyle opts for the return safety. Pretty good choice, giving distance between the cue ball and the 6. Sorry about the ding-dongs there. Some folks think that we are open to the public on Wednesdays. Unfortunately, no. Ox Billiards is closed Mondays and Wednesdays to the public. These are members-only days. Really good positional shot here from Raf after making that 7. So poised to run out the rest of this rack. Doesn't really need to think too much about the leave because the natural angle of the cue ball will go into the rail and pass the 10 parallel on this 8 line. So just needs to focus on making the ball. Unfortunately, put a little bit too much bottom on that, and cue ball drew slightly off of the 8, so opportunity here for Kyle to capitalize on the mistake. Calling the 10 on the side here. All right, and with that, we've got ourselves a 1-1 game. Thank you all for joining me this evening, or morning, or afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Let me know where you are tuning in from. This is a match between Kyle Leck and Rafael Guajardo. Kyle is currently ranked 480 Fargo rating, and Rafael has a 505 rating. You can see the odds here in a race to 9. Rafael still has the advantage. I believe Kyle would have to be about 4-1 in this game to surpass the odds, but game is still quite young. Plenty of racks to go, plenty of action here at Ox Billiards. Ten ball on the break, but 10 ball does not count on the break, so that will get spotted up, and Kyle will be allowed to continue shooting. All right, so if I was shooting this one, I would hit this with a little bit of draw. Basically bring the cue ball back to that line that's going straight across the table. Just had a quick rules clarification here. So the 10 ball was made, but it is Kyle's shot to continue shooting. So he could either push if it was bad. If he didn't have an open shot, he could have pushed. But since it was open, decided to take on the 1. Now the 2, he's got a little bit of a steep cut here, but not impossible. I have to switch back to this other view. Kyle has a little bit of an unorthodox stance, but I like that, you know? I would prefer that players shoot the way that they're comfortable with as opposed to trying to emulate things that won't work for them. So, hey, John tuning in from Port Orchard. Across the mighty sea indeed, especially with these bomb cluster winds we have had the last day in the Pacific Northwest. If you don't know what that is, I did not know what that word was either until someone said it. Ooh, unfortunately, Raf here following the cue ball in on that 3. Yeah, some pretty crazy weather overnight here. A lot of the east side, which would be Bellevue area, and North Seattle, kind of all over the place. A lot of power outages. Luckily here at Ox Billiards on Capitol Hill in Seattle, Washington, we do have power, we have internet, and we have this game streamed live to you. So thank you all for tuning in. Hopefully y'all are safe at home or wherever you are tuning in. Hopefully the damage wasn't too extensive to you. All right, so good follow shot here from Kyle. Unfortunately, just overruns it slightly. I think he wanted to be just a little bit behind and maybe closer to the second diamond, kind of where he's like standing, that second diamond there, just to make sure they actually had a look on the 5 in the top right corner. But it's really close here, so he is going to have to shoot with a bit of an angle. I think I would go down and just try to hide the cue ball behind the 9. He can hit this pretty soft because the likelihood of him clipping the 9 is pretty high. Okay, yeah, see, this is smart. He's going to basically play a two-way here, so he's going to go for the bank, but also send the cue ball to the bottom rail. He unfortunately leaked out a little bit. He wanted to be about 3 inches lower on the table, but had to work with what he was given, so it's not a terrible outcome. So Raf's going to have to go to work here. He is going to try to sort of spin this with left to go up table after making the 5. All right, just settles for a light roll off of the rail. Left with a bit of a steep cut here on the 6. If he is going to go for the shot, I think he just called safe, so interested to see what he chooses here. Okay. I like it. Forces Kyle to bank. I think I would go for the bank here. You don't really have much to lose. You have a lot to gain if you make it too, because you're going to be pretty prime on that 7. So I think the only mistake he made there was hitting that bank too soft. So if you're going for a direct angle, you need to hit the bank fairly firm, just so the cue ball doesn't have time to take any spin or drift off of the initial hit on the rail. So I think if you would have hit that a little bit harder, the angle would have been more sharp and would have gone into the side pocket as opposed to just missing on the right side there. Alright, so Raf going for a 6-9 combo, unfortunately coming up short. And now leaving an interesting opportunity here for Kyle on a possible 6-10 combo. See what he does here. I'm not sure I like the overcut, but I believe he called safety. This will be good if it hits the rail, but unfortunately, yeah, the second time he's tried to play a little touchy safety and not able to find a rail after contact. Alright, so Raf will play a little bit of draw off of this rail just to get back up table. He wants to land between the 7 and the 9. Or he can just kind of land middle table and be pretty good for that 7. As long as he's on the upper side of those side pockets. Which he is. Ran a little bit long, hopefully not stuck to the rail. Yeah, he's got some space there. Should be pretty good. Just roll this one forward, come off the rail, have another shot on the 8. Actually has a little bit more angle than I think he wants, because now he's either going to have to draw this off pretty hard to avoid the side pocket scratch, or roll forward a little bit. Kind of worried about this angle here. Yeah. Yeah, it was going to be really just because of the tangent line. So one thing you can do if you're kind of worried about scratching is place your pointer finger at the point of contact on the ball that you're hitting and make a peace sign with your 2 fingers. And the tangent line will be where your middle finger is. So if you would have kind of put the pointer on the 8, he would have saw that the middle finger was heading towards that pocket. Now, another opportunity here for Kyle. I believe this is the second rack where he was given a 9-10 off of the scratch, so a little bit of a shake, rattle, and roll there, but Kyle's going to go ahead and take that, and it is a 2-1 game. Alright folks, let me know how you're enjoying the match so far. Pretty close race, both players going back and forth here. Any final score guesses in the chat, let me know. This is a race to 9. So still plenty of game left, but be interested to see or hear what you think the final outcome will be. Alright, so another good spread here from Kyle, but unfortunately no pocket on the break. And with an open table like this, can be potentially dangerous when your opponent comes in. Really good draw here. Get a friendly bump, which he did. So he's going to have to use a bridge, or if he has an extension, get that handy because this is quite the reach on a 9-footer. Alright, so he just needs to shave this 2, go 2 rails with the cue ball. Ideally, I would land pretty straight on this 3, just so I can try to draw back pretty hard for the 4. But hit that with a lot of power just to make sure that it went in, and clips the 3 in a way that now makes it a little bit awkward. Sounds like he called safety. I think he's going to send the cue ball down table and leave the 3 up here. Okay, did the opposite. Probably figured he had better control over the cue ball than the 3. Got some folks here playing snooker here at Ox Billiards. If you are a member, come on down. Plenty of open pool tables here if you're a member. Get your practice in. If you're interested in becoming a member, go ahead and email mike@oxbilliards.com. As a member, you do get 24-hour access to the club, special discounted rates for members, as well as special deals. You will get notified when events are coming through. You'll be the first to know. Alright, so just barely missing here.
Try safe.
Alright, sorry about that, folks. I had to step away for a second. Alright, John guessing in the chat Kyle's going to win 9-7 over Raf. All right, pretty good cue ball control here from Kyle. Overran the 6 just a little bit, but 6 is still makeable in the lower left pocket. I would hit this with draw so that it stuns off of the right rail. But I think he might actually be rolling forward. Let's be careful about that corner scratch, but navigated it pretty well. Just hit the 6 a little too thick. Or too thin, rather. Uh-oh, might find himself behind the 8. Ooh, friendly bump. Okay. Friendly bump ensuring that he does have a look at the 7. Doesn't have too much room to play off the rail, but has enough to get under the cue ball ever so slightly, which is just what he needs to get positioned for the 8. Yeah, 7's going to go in the opposite pocket, so now this is a player choice. But since the ball is wide open, Kyle will take it on. So in 10 ball, if you call the incorrect pocket and make a ball, it's the incoming player's decision whether or not they want to shoot at the ball or not. And sometimes you do want to give it back to your opponent if the leave is terrible, but in this circumstance it was pretty good. Nice safety play here from Kyle. Alright, so I think I would bank this in the bottom right corner, maybe with a little bit of top. That way the cue ball does run. Don't necessarily need to hit this with power. It's more of a speed thing here. Okay, see, so he actually, when he hit that, don't know if you noticed, but he put a little bit of left spin on it, and that caused the 8 ball to take more right when it came into contact with that top rail. So actually widened the angle of the 8 ball. So if he would have hit that with straight top, the angle would have been a bit more pure to where he was aiming. But because of that unintentional spin, alright, so Kyle can just roll this up past the 10. Alright, he decides to come back and forth. I think this is pretty good. He's giving himself good distance and a pretty nice angle here. Oh, unfortunately, yeah, he knows. A lot of body English there. Kind of moved his body as he took that shot, so it's going to deviate the cue ball's path. But not the worst leave. I would definitely play follow here just to avoid that side pocket. So Raf is calling the 10 in the bottom right corner. Ooh, and just the rattle. Shake, rattle, and roll. All right, and with that, Kyle extending his lead 3-1 now. So it seems like Raf is just kind of making some end game mistakes here. And Kyle's capitalizing, so he's going to want to pull ahead. He's going to have to adjust that pretty quick here. 'Cause Kyle has done a pretty good job at capitalizing on the mistakes when it's towards the end of the rack. All right, Kyle's switching up the side of the table that he's breaking from. He's breaking from the same side that Raf was. Trying something a little different. Which you should probably do if you're not really feeling confident about your break or the outcomes of your previous breaks. And turns out it was a really good decision because he's now made the 2, the 3, and the 7. Sorry, not the 2, the 3 and the 7 on the break. And pretty prime for this 1 here in the side pocket. I believe the 2 does go by the 10 ball in the bottom right corner, so kind of just a forward roll on this 1 to get an angle on the 2. That's kind of what he's looking at, just trying to find the right angle. Yep, this is pretty good. Can decide to go 1 or 2 rails here for the 4 in the same lower right pocket. Oh, he might actually be going for the 10 ball here.
Touch that 8 ball.
How much is it?
No, it's like a millimeter.
Yeah, I think he's going to go for the 10 here. Hopefully he called it. Probably did. Ooh. Just barely missing that. Alright, so with the back cut on this, he does need the momentum, so I expect that he's not going to be able to control this cue ball super well. Only because he does need that speed to get the 2 over. Alright, so he's got to look at the 4 in the top right corner. Doesn't have much choice but to play follow on the cue ball because it's so close to the rail. So if he does follow, he may be bumping the 6 just slightly with the cue ball. Yeah, I caught that one a little thick. All right, giving up the table to Kyle here. It's a nice draw, but unfortunately he is directly over the 6 now, so it's going to be arched up over it. Still makeable. Just need to make sure his bridge hand is solid. Make sure he finds the line. Kind of swung at that one a little hard. And I know Raf would have preferred that ball dropped because it would have been his option to shoot at the 6, but now he's going to have to maybe play a little bit of a masse here. I think I would masse around the 6 ball on the right side of the 6. When you masse, you want the cue ball to hit. Yeah, okay, so he's going to masse the other way, which means he's going to put bottom left spin. Kind of hit at an angle to go around the left side of the 6. Ooh, almost caught it. Yeah, that was a tough one. It's really difficult to get the spin on the cue ball to catch at just the right moment. This cloth plays pretty long, or some say it plays fast, so it's a little difficult to grip, if you will. Alright, so Kyle overran this, but still has a makeable shot on the side. Ideally, he would have been almost where the foot spot is, or where you would put the top ball on the rack there, on that dot. But nonetheless, going to work his way around the 10. Yeah, just a little bit too much speed on this one as well, but now he actually has a decent opportunity for an 8-ball bank, or if he wants to cut again, kind of a mirrored deja vu shot here that he just had on the 6. So now he's going to come around 3 rails for the 10. One, two, three, and he's going to fall. Just overrunning just a little bit. That's funny. It's like 3 shots in a row where he's almost landed on the exact same side of each ball that he's shot, but these are all makeable, so all right, and with that, Kyle goes up 4-1 over Raf. Thank you all to the viewers sweating this match with me here on a Wednesday evening, or morning or afternoon, wherever you are in the world. My name is Zach Ross. I'm the Q Sports communicator here at Ox Billiards, putting on these matches for your enjoyment and for us all to learn a thing or two. Whether you want to improve your own game or think that you're better than the players being streamed, or whatever your reason is for joining in, supporting the players. We're all here to have a good time, so thank you. Thanks for being here. All right, so Kyle likes the right side of the table to break from. He was pretty successful last time. Finds success again with the 4 and the 6. In a really good position on the 1. This is a pretty ideal opening shot here. Just needs to roll this off the top rail and come just past the 7. Doesn't need to get too close to his work, because he does want to draw off of that 2 to get the 3 in the lower left corner. Yep, this is a really solid angle to do that. So it just needs to be smooth. Looks like he's going to go forward instead. Ooh, really friendly bump here on the 8. And just take his time here. Alright, so after first maybe 2 racks or so, Kyle was having a bit of tough time kind of finding the line and the leaves. He's playing pretty good here, really warmed up now. Comes across table for the 7. Really good lie on the 7 here. Curious how he goes after this 8. I think if he would have had a little bit more angle, kind of shooting with a bit of a sort of right line into the 7, he would have been able to come off the rail to have the 8 in the lower right corner. But now I think he has to draw or play forward. Yeah, he's going to draw back, and I think he might just try to size up this 8-10 combo. Not really a gimme here, but... Okay, I think he just waved his hand as if calling a safety, so... I think he's just going to send the 8 to the bottom rail, try to hide that cue ball right behind the 10. Okay. It's a good outcome. Raf does have a look on the 8, but he can return safety here. I think I would just try to send the 8 ball to the top rail. So yeah, I guess call that right corner, but then also just bring the cue ball back. Yeah, it's a really good safety here. That's super ideal. Raf needs to get back in this game, so needs to come out with some good safety shots, and that'll do it. Kyle not completely blocked, though, so has a chance to go 2 rails to kick at the 8. He's going to put a little bit of right spin on this because when he hits that second rail, kind of needs to widen the he needs to widen the angle off of the initial rail that he hits. So, and he did. He hit it perfect. Unfortunately, going to give him an open shot, but I mean, it's way better than ball in hand. So, let's see if Raf can take advantage of his good safety play and run these 3 balls out. Overran just a bit as Andy Cloth yeah, Andy Cloth runs a little fast, but once you get the speed down, it just means less effort with your shots. I guess what I mean by that is you don't need as much speed or power to get the position that you need, and you can kind of just hit the ball smooth as opposed to trying to force your way into position, if you will. So he's going 9 ball lower right corner. Taking a second look at it. It does pass. He just wants to be sure that he'll have a good look at the 10. All right, chance for Kyle here to put a stop shot. He actually needs to draw back about 4 or 5 inches off of this 9. If you can draw back and have the 10 in the lower left corner, that would be ideal. Not sure if he's looking at the side pocket. No. Gotta be going top left. I was going to say he might get a lucky roll, but he does not. All right, so I think I would hit this with bottom left. Or at least like running left, and that way cue ball comes off of that rail. And back up middle table, middle-ish. For the 10. Friendly bump here. Bit of a tight cut, but still makeable. Makes it a tad difficult just because it is off the rail, but hit this smooth with decent speed. Should drop here in the lower left corner. All right, really let us stroke out there. 4-2 match here now. All right, so I think just a quick little break here. How y'all doing tonight? Doing pretty good myself here, enjoying some action. Looks like we have a couple Lech family members here in the chat. Thank you for joining us. I know Kyle appreciates it. Got Raf's cousin Ricardo here in the chat as well. Raf's girlfriend Sierra's here in attendance to watch this as well. So yeah, it's really nice to see a lot of support for the players. Always trying to showcase some local talent here. No matter your skill level, if you're learning, if you're seasoned, always have an opportunity to learn. I think the thing that I appreciate about watching amateur play, if you will, is that they have different approaches to the game than pros do. Things are a little less automatic, and they approach certain shots differently. May not always be the best outcome, or it can be a great outcome. So it's nice to see those perspectives and kind of put it into your own repertoire of choice selection when you're at the table yourself. So a really solid break here from Raf, making the 1 and the 2 and the 4. So 3-ball break. All right, looks like he's going to try to draw back into position. His draw stroke has been pretty solid, so I don't doubt that he's able to do it. Yeah, look at that. Really nice stroke there. Pretty great angle here on the 5. So if he hits this with just a little bit of bottom, he'll actually be able to come out and be in a pretty similar position for the 6. Obviously, he wants to be on the right side of the 6. Just taking a second look at it. Wants to make sure he's on the right line, and you're putting any English, either like left or right on that bottom. You want to make sure that you're going to be striking the 5 in the correct spot, which he did. It's a really good angle here for the 6 as well. I think I would play this with a little bit of inside right, just so you kind of slow the cue ball down, and you also cut off the angle. The cue ball would come out off of the rail, because you kind of want to keep the cue ball kind of where the 6 is right now, but you do need to run into the rail first with that cue. So he did check it with right, but he ended up putting top right on it, and as opposed to just side right. So instead of just kind of spinning the cue ball, the top English, so he probably hit around like between like 1 and 2 o'clock on the cue ball, and that caused the cue ball to roll forward more as opposed to catching the rail and kind of just spinning off of it. So he's going to opt for a jump shot here. Pretty long jump. But as long as he can clear that 9 ball, and he's jumping this straight, he will make contact with the 7. Obviously a ambitious pot to make it in the bottom left corner, but got to go for it. Or at least call that shot. Even if you're not 100% confident it may go there, it's still the right call. Wow, that was interesting. Caught it somehow on the inside of the 7, but good outcome. Ooh, okay. Smell some cheese. Is there possibly cheese here? Yeah, he's calling the 8-10 combo. It's a good call. I mean, kind of have to go for it based on the angle. See if we can get a little bit more of a zoom here. And he made it, and it's going to stay up. All right, now that puts Kyle ahead 5-2 over Raf. I think we're maybe going to take a player break here, so we will be back in about 10 minutes. So don't go anywhere. We will be right back.
live stream over here. So keep it down, brother. Wednesday, every Wednesday, challenge somebody.
All right, folks, we are back. Thank you for patiently waiting. Just took a quick player break here. Back in the swing of things, we have Kyle up 5-2 over Rafael. All right, so Kyle is here to break off rack number 8. It's race to 9. Working from the right side of the table here on his break. Makes the 5 in the side, 4 in the corner, and 2 in the lower left. So really solid break, even though there's a little bit of a cluster here on the 6-9. Should have a pretty good opportunity to make the 1. And then if he lines himself up correctly, he can actually make the 3 and break out the 6-9. But, you know, one shot at a time. Caught that one a little bit too thin, so he kind of overcut the pocket. Raf has a pretty good opportunity here to bank the one in that side pocket nearest him. But I think he's going to opt for a safety here and just send the cue ball behind the 9-10. Cluster down table. Oh, ended up catching the point. Yeah, seems a little frustrated with that outcome. But not terrible. I mean, the one doesn't have super open pocket unless Kyle wants to overcut this one into the top left corner. Otherwise, he can play safety here and just roll that one to the top rail. Yeah, bring the cue ball around. Yeah, really good outcome here. Don't think Raf has a real clear shot at this. Especially with the cue ball now kind of almost frozen. Not quite frozen to the top rail, but won't have much cue ball action to work with on this shot. I think he is seeing if you can go between the 7 and the 8 to kick at the 1 and have the 1 go in that corner pocket.
Try the one right here.
Yeah, unfortunately missing the 1. Alright, so Kyle's just going to want to draw off of this 1 for the 3 in the right side pocket. I would actually try to maybe bump the 6-9 off of each other as well, but okay, decides to go forward. Maybe he took a look at the 6-9 and saw that the combination goes, but he's calling the top left corner. Oh, unfortunately, scratching in the side pocket and breaking out sort of the problem cluster here in this rack. Kind of talked about this earlier, but Kyle has an interesting stance when he's over the ball. Actually was watching, I think it was the WPA 8-ball event. There was a player, I think it was a Vietnamese player, hopefully I'm not wrong, but he also kind of stood up over his shots, didn't really get down, but yeah. I like it when players have particular style that works for them. Alright, so Raf just needs to draw off of this 6. he may bump the 9 just a little bit. Or if he's able to get a clean draw, just kind of bypass the 9. Yeah, caught it on the underside, but this is totally fine. Has a good look at the 7. If he's feeling ambitious, he can kind of draw a little bit off of this 7 and have the 8 in the top right corner. Or if he were to play follow, you would possibly bump the 8 a little bit, but then have the 8 in the top left corner. So kind of player's choice here, what he wants to do. Kind of looks like he's aiming at the 8. I hope he's not. Okay. Yeah, that was a weird angle. Obviously going for the 7. Yeah, and he did bump the 8. Kyle with a bit of a thin cut here. I would put top right on this, maybe like 1 or 2 o'clock to avoid the scratch in the side pocket. Because if he plays with this with just straight top, the cue ball kind of will be heading towards that pocket. So he needs to be a little bit careful here. Yep, and he got enough angle. Pretty decent speed. So he did overrun position. There is the, okay, he's going to go for the cut. I was going to say the cut is a little difficult. The bank in the lower right might be a little more favorable just for cue ball position, but it's not terrible. Raf is going to have to break out the jump cue here. Well, he might be able to see a hair of the 8 ball. Just take a look here. Don't quite have the angle need to see this from my view, but it does look like he'll be able to hit the 8. Yeah. Wasn't able to get the angle he needed, but the 8 kind of nesting up on this 10 now at least removes a shot opportunity for Kyle. Now, I think what I would do is thin the 8 on the 8's left side as the viewer, but it would be Kyle's right. So thin the 8 on that side and send the cue ball towards the 9. But just hit it so thin that you're kind of leaving the cue ball nestled up on the 9 and leaving that 8 sort of where it's at currently. Needs pretty good speed control. But it looks like he's actually going to call the 10. Which isn't too crazy of an idea, especially if he kind of does run that cue ball towards the 9. So you kind of have a two-way shot. But now that he's opened them up significantly, it's actually a pretty decent connect the dots run here. So Raf can either stop shot this 8 or just roll ever so slightly forward. But I think he's probably going to stop shot, maybe even just run the cue ball into the rail and back towards middle table so he has a better angle on the 9. And don't be afraid to let your stroke out here. Yeah, nice shot. Yeah, he was really concerned about getting back for that 10. Now, unfortunately, leaving a pretty good connect 1-2 here for a 1-2 combo here. Not a combination as in the shooting balls, but you know what I mean. Just get around that 10. Yep. Yeah, I think Raf just swung a little bit too hard at that 9. Just needed to be a little bit smoother. Since the 10 was kind of up near the pocket, kind of could have landed anywhere in open space as long as it was on the 2/3 of the left side of the table. Kyle now increasing his lead 6-2. And Fargo rate odds giving him an 85.99% chance of winning this game. Kyle has been pretty solid about capitalizing on the mistakes here. And Raf, unfortunately, just committing some errors really late in the racks. It's kind of like the last 2 to 3 balls, committing an error, giving Kyle that opportunity to run it out. Good sounding break, but none of the balls found a pocket. See what Raf decides to do here. I don't really like slow rolling this just because there's so much distance. I think I would try to maybe just send the 1 towards the 8 on the right side of the table and kind of let the cue ball run into the 7, but okay, he actually tried to make the 1 off the 7, which is a pretty cheeky approach. I like that. Two is not exactly open, so Kyle's going to have to come up with a pretty good positional play to have opportunity on the 2. This is pretty ideal. Gets a friendly bump here, which he totally did. The difficulty with this is going to be getting around the 3, which this particular angle I don't really see him doing. I think the cue ball is actually going to roll into the 3 off of that bottom rail. I was thinking about going behind the back, but no, I think he just leans over like this. It's better. I think he's going to play safety here, though, just kind of the way he's aiming at it. Yep. Leaked out a little bit, so Raf actually has a shot at a triple combo here. I guess it would be a double combo. 3 to 5 to 8, calling that 8 in the side pocket. This one's super touchy. I would shoot this with middle ball because you don't want to impart any accidental spin when you're contacting the 2 other balls. So it's just really finding the angle that you need to hit the 5, subsequently the 5 that needs to hit the 8. So if you are going to play any sort of English, it needs to be straight vertical, top or bottom. It looks like he is going to go a little bit below center. Executed it perfectly. Has a steep cut on the 2, but plays this with a little bit of a rolling right. You should be able to avoid the side pocket scratch. Don't know if I like playing straight top on this just because you're going to pop off with an angle. Okay, decides to play safe. I think that's what he was calling with his hand there. So Kyle just moving the coin. He is up 6-2 currently. Now he's going to have to kick at the 2. And leaving an open shot here, so Raf's defense pays out here. It's kind of what he needed. All the balls are pretty wide open. Don't really see any issues getting to any of these. Obviously the difficult leave here is just going to be for the 3, but he can kind of spin this out and drop below the 10. Oh, he hit it too hard. Yeah. Yeah, he's a little frustrated, but I totally get it. You know, you're getting good leaves, and then when you need to get the pinpoint leave, you kind of overrun position, but might actually find a little window here between the 9 and the 10. So it's not quite over for him in this run out. Opts for the safety. It's a really good choice. I think Kyle can return the safety, and what I would do here is bring the 3 below the 9-10 and send the cue ball up towards that 5-4. So you've got tons of traffic in the way. You're kind of just float running this cue ball up. But he decides to do the other way. And I think, so if you kind of reverse bank the 3 and you send the cue up table, you're allowing more distance as opposed to this particular method. Now he's overran it, and he is giving up the shot for the 3 in the top left corner. So yeah, Raf just needs to hit this with a little bit of stun, maybe a tad bit of draw. Make sure he has the cue ball in the middle of the table. Hit it nice, but hit it a little too thin. Or thick, rather, because it caught the top, so. Pretty hard slice here to run this 3 up the rail, but not impossible. And since he's running away from the side pocket, as long as he plays this with top, he won't be scratching in the side pocket. Ooh, what a shot that was. That was a really nice shot, but fortunately just caught the rail first. If he didn't catch the rail first, it would have gone pretty decent leave on the 4 as well, but Raf is back at the table. As difficult as it is sometimes when you're kind of in the thick of these matches and you're down a couple of racks, is just trust your abilities, you know? You know how to get from point A to B to C to D, and you just need to do that. Let your stroke out in some shots. But really just finding that cue ball control. So he's a little bit on the rail here, but it's not terrible because he was going to need to kind of come across the 5 anyway. So if he medium rolls this, he should be back on this end of the table, have the 5 in the same pocket as the 4. Really depends how hard he decides to hit. All right, so Kyle can just, excuse me, follow this up to the top rail. Have a look at the 5 in the same corner. Caught that one thick. Got the leave he wanted, but yeah, unfortunately just caught it thick enough to where he wasn't quite square with the pocket. So now Raf has an opportunity to either thin cut this, but then you kind of lose cue ball control. So he did wave his hand for safety. I imagine he's going to just send the 4 right above the 5. Nope, he's... Okay, yep. Yeah, just bring the 4 right above the 5. Yeah, that's good. Leaked out a little bit, but Kyle might be able to hit the 4 here. Let's see. Take a little bit closer look. Oh yeah, see, I was I was worried about the cue ball kind of rolling towards that corner pocket, but worked out pretty well. So the 4 does go by the 10 into the lower right corner, but he is shooting over the pocket, so not the easiest ball to pot. So yeah, both these players just slightly missing their angles here. I think having a couple gimme shots might help get them back in stroke here after the break. Kyle barely avoiding the side pocket scratch there. Coming out a little bit too far on the middle table. Nonetheless, has a bank opportunity. I think he was actually trying to leave the cue ball on the other side of the 6 there, but just caught that 5 a little too thick and overran the leave. I think Raf just needs to hit this with a little bit of bottom. Came up a little steep on the 6, and because he is close to the rail, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to control the cue ball. But he can kind of strike with a bit of an angle down into this cue ball and avoid the side pocket scratch. If he were to play this with straight top, the scratch is very likely. Switch to the other angle here. Okay, so he is, yeah, he's gonna have to, just jack down a little bit there. Nice shot, really nice shot. Really good recovery. Okay, so he wants to be up around that second diamond on the left side. Obviously not on the rail itself, but just sort of on that second diamond line. So we can have the 9 in the lower right corner. He has a bit of an angle here. So he can just roll straight forward on it to get that position. Oh, he didn't hit it hard enough. Alex in the chat asking what calculates the odds. Is it just a combo of Fargo plus current score? Yes, that is correct. So it's basically the race 2. So they're doing a race to 9, and because Kyle is at 6, and his Fargo is the way it is versus Rafael's, he has an 86% chance of winning. Since their Fargo is only about 25 points off. And also, welcome to the chat, Alex. Good to see you here. So a thin cut on the 9 here for the lower right corner. It's going to move that 10 out. Yeah, caught it a little thick, but that was going to be pretty difficult just because the 10 was pretty close. So kind of here we are again, late rack where Raf just isn't quite finding his way out with the last 2 to 3 balls. And I think that's something, when you're playing rotation, either 9 or 10 ball, you have to be very mindful of is making sure that you're not giving your opponent kind of a 1-2-3 out, or even a 1-2 out. Just because with fewer balls on the table, less traffic, cue ball, you can kind of swing around the table more. But it's going to be an interesting steep cut here. It's going to have to kind of overcut this 9 to make it in the side pocket. Be careful about the scratch in the upper left, so I think he's going to hit this pretty hard. Okay, decided to go for the bank. But this is going to leave Kyle. Really good opportunity. I think if I were Kyle, I'd just play straight top on this, and the angle actually takes you right above the 10. So you don't have to do too much work here. Okay, decided to spin it, which, okay, I mean, it's a decent outcome. I think if you play straight top, you can kind of let your stroke out and you don't have to be too particular. But it's okay. It's a bit steep of a shot here now, and he does have to worry about, especially going forward, that side pocket scratch the cue ball. He has an interesting aiming technique because it looks like when he squares onto the cue ball that he's going to hit top, but then he actually brings the cue's action below. So with that one, he actually sort of dropped below the center line of the cue ball to get a stun action. Hey, thanks, Alex. Yeah, doing what I can. Always enjoy these types of matches. All right, so Raf closing the deficit here. 3-6 now. It's going to be his break. Looks like Kyle's going to run to the restroom real quick as Raf racks this set. It is a winner break format that they're playing. Early 10s are allowed if called. No 10 on the break. See, the odds actually changed pretty significantly, about 10% there, even with taking that one rack, because the higher rated Fargo player is always going to have the better odds of winning, especially in a longer race. But I suspect as Kyle kind of closes that gap to 9, the odds won't increase as much for Raf if he takes a couple racks back. So if it was like 8-3, 8-4, 8-5, I think the odds would still be pretty high for Kyle. But because there's still several racks between where they're at and what they need to win, you won't see the odds fluctuate as much. Struck that really well. Unfortunately, isn't okay. He's going to get rewarded with the 2 here. Nice little friendly kick. He actually made the 4 too. Sorry, I didn't see that go in. I was too focused on where the 2 was going, but I made the 2 and the 4. So really good setup here. I think I would hit this with bottom right to go 2 rails. Looks like he's going to go top left and maybe just run straight up and down. Okay, yeah, ended up bumping the 9, but it's no big deal. Still has a look on the 3. I think when I'm playing rotation, I try to avoid bumping other object balls, but sometimes you have to, so it's not really a right or wrong way to approach it as long as you're still getting a leave and an angle to your next 2 or 3 shots. So that's what I like to do when I play rotation, is see the object ball that I'm hitting and then kind of look at the next 2 or 3 shots and kind of look at those lines and send my cue into advantageous spots. Really solid pot of the 3 here. So now he can just roll this cue ball up on the top side of the right hand pocket. The right side pocket there. Even if he comes up straight on the 6, it would actually be pretty ideal because then he can just draw back almost to the exact same position that he needs to leave the cue ball at now for the 7. So yeah, this rack's looking pretty good for Rafael. Okay, having a little angle isn't bad. Just needs to make sure that he does hit bottom, so when he runs into the rail, you'll be able to bring that cue ball out pretty much to where it's at, or a little bit above. Kind of whatever he prefers here with his next approach. Okay, so comes up with a little bit of an angle here for the 8, or for the 7 rather. But you should be able to sort of draw stun this out and have the cue ball on the other side of the 9, or just above the 9 enough to where he can actually see the 8 ball. Nice. Yep. Really good position. I think I'd probably just stop shot this. Just so you have that angle for the 9, and then you can run the cue ball to the top rail. Come back down for the 10 in the lower right corner. Or if he has enough, if he hits it with a little bit of an angle, have the 10 in the lower left, but let's see what he does with this 8. Really nice. Angle here is actually a little interesting. You would actually need a little bit sharper of an angle to run the cue ball all the way up table. I mean, he could still do it. It's just, you kind of have to put a little more cue ball action. And that can get squirrely sometimes. Yeah, ended up 2 rails, but now he's like 50-50 with his 10, so... He could still make it in the lower right. It's just going to be a really steep cut here. I don't think he has to worry about any scratch of the cue ball, but you do have to hit this pretty precise. He's lining up pretty nice, so... Yeah, nice. Nice job. Way to run that out. All right, 6-4. So now those odds are jumping quite a bit because he is closing the gap.
Doesn't my cousin have the patches? He's the...
Yeah, for all of you in the chat here, let me know what your Fargo rate is. Interested to see how this match may affect your own game, kind of seeing players of similar skill level to you, if you happen to be in the high 4s, low 5s range. I myself, I'm a 530, so just a little bit above these guys, but constantly learning, constantly wanting to learn. It's the only way you're going to get better. Also playing opponents that are slightly above your skill level. So Kyle in a 6-4 lead here, playing pretty well against the 25 rating difference. So the players are going to take a quick break here. But thanks again for everyone joining in. All 14 of you. Don't be shy, say hello. What was for dinner tonight, or breakfast or lunch, whatever your meal was. Hanging out here in Seattle, Washington, Capitol Hill neighborhood at Ox Billiards. It is Members Days on Mondays and Wednesdays, so if you are a member, you get free reign of the club to yourself along with the other members here. We have 4 snooker tables, we have 8 9-foot Rasson tables, and we have a Hey Joy Chinese 8-ball table. If you're unfamiliar with that type of table, it's basically a hybrid between a 9-foot pool table and a snooker table. So it has the same felt or cloth that would be on a snooker table, and it does have the rounded pockets. So it makes it pretty difficult, but also a super satisfying game to watch when players are hitting their marks. Ox Billiards membership allows you to gain 24-hour access to the club. So you can come down and shoot whenever you feel like it. And if it is public hours, you do get a 20% discounted rate off the public rate. If you're interested or want more information about the membership, go ahead and hit up Mike at oxbilliards.com. He is the owner and proprietor here, pushing Q Sports forward. All right, so Raf is going to break from the left side of the table. I believe this is his first time this match, kind of switching it up. He had a pretty good break last time, so I'm not exactly sure what he decided to switch up for, but nonetheless has done so and actually came up dry. So I guess the old adage of if it ain't broke, don't fix it, kind of comes into play here. I absolutely believe, though, that if your break is not working for you, at least after the first time or the second time that you break, you do need to switch it up. But good defense here from Kyle, kind of just giving separation. Interested to see where Raf sends the cue ball. It's either behind the 9 or sending the 1 behind the 9. Yep, send the cue ball behind the 9. Really good touch. Almost frozen to the 9. Kyle with the tap of appreciation for the skill defense there from Raf. The window here for Kyle is going to be pretty difficult to make contact with that 1. I would almost consider sending the 9 into this 6-7 cluster, just so you're kind of creating more of an issue and less chance of a run out. But, you know, if they are playing 3-foul rule, you do have to consider that. You don't want to always just give up a free foul. But on the other hand, if you're going to get ball in hand anyway, you may as well create some more traffic. So I think he's going to try to go around that 5. Yeah, that was going to be tough. There's such a thin path there between the rail and the 5 and the 1. All right, so Raf is just going to draw straight back. That's the way he's setting it up. Draw straight back towards the 3. Hopefully not bump the 3. And just kind of leave the cue ball a little bit lower than where it's currently at. A little bit lower. Yeah, slightly lower. But enough of an angle here to make the 2. You may want to consider, well, he's kind of close to the rail again, and a lot of his leaves have been kind of close to the rail, so he doesn't have a lot of choices with how he's striking the cue. In this instance, he's going to roll forward past the 10 and hopefully not bump it. Yeah, he came around it, so good recovery shot here. If he can maneuver the cue ball without kind of landing on these rails, he'll definitely have a better chance of getting the opportune leaves that he needs. So he's just going to strike this and roll the cue ball a little bit forward. Maybe just past the side pocket to that first diamond, maybe in between the first and second diamonds there. Doesn't need to hit hard, just kind of slow roll. Maybe he had a steeper angle than what the camera showed. But anyway, landed in a pretty good spot for the 4. So 4 inside. And you'll be able to take that 5 in the upper right corner. The real question is whether or not he can 6-9 combo. think you just have to focus on potting this ball. Sure, you obviously want a good leave, but you can kind of strike this 6 anywhere from the right side of the table. No, this is not what you want. Again, landing on the rail, so I think he's going to have to go for a jump shot here. Unless he can, yeah, I mean, he can kick at it, but I think the kick is a little awkward because you're running into the rail just parallel to the 9. So I think jumping is a much better choice. Interested to see what he calls. I would call the 6 in the top right corner and just, okay, he's gonna, The problem with this is that it's really difficult to control the power of the cue ball kind of flying through the air. So I would 6 to the top right just so I can leave the cue ball around the 7 if I happen to miss and kind of, you know, play a safety. It's almost a 2-way. I guess that's the other thing that could happen is sending the 6 off the table. So it is ball in hand. I think they were about to ask me if that ball is dead, and I don't know the answer. I think I would, yeah, I think that's fine. I hope that's the right answer. If anyone knows in the chat what happens to a ball off the table in 10 ball, if it gets spotted or if it just becomes a dead pocketed ball, please let me know. We like to learn here at Ox Billiards, so. Anyway, Kyle making quick work of the unforced error. So I think I would roll forward on this. Yep. 2 rails out and around. Yeah, just let it stroke out there. It's really nice. Why is it ball in hand, though? That's actually a really good question. I don't think it was supposed to be ball in hand because he did make clean contact with the 6. It's just that the 6 flew off the table. The cue ball did not. So I think Kyle should have shot the cue ball where it lied, or it was player option. But that is passed, so I guess I can just do a quick search here on BCA. If a player causes the ball to go off the table during a shot, it's considered a foul, and the opposing player is awarded cue ball in hand, which means they can place the cue ball anywhere on the table. Okay, well, hey, there we go. No, yeah. Thank you, Google search. So yes, if it was the 10 ball that went off the table, the 10 ball would get spotted. Yeah, if a player causes a ball to go off the table during a shot, it is considered a foul, and the opposing player is awarded cue ball in hand. So, hey, yeah, learn something new. That is also not what I expected, because he did hit the ball clean. So, anywho, pretty good break here. It's going to have a bit of a thin cut here on the 2 and the side. Now, leaving the cue ball for the 3 is going to be a little touchy just because he is kind of jacked over the 10. I think he did just wave his hand to call safety. Ooh, almost got on the point there. I'm actually seeing some conflicting information about this 10 ball rule. Anyway, also, I will say, me searching BCA 10 ball rules ball off table, I am getting an AI answer, so I don't know if I should trust our computer overlords quite yet, but here we are. All right, so Raf, unfortunately, not be able to make contact with that 2. Does give ball in hand for Kyle. So Kyle's just going to cross table here. I think I would just stay below the 8 ball. There's no reason to go between the 4 and the 8. It's a little too risky. Yeah, he bumped it a little, but that's fine. All right, well, I did find a UPA website that does say the ball accidentally pocketed is not brought back into play. If a player knocks a ball off the table and the ball returns to the playing surface after hitting a person or an object, it is a foul. And it's ball in hand. So, anywho, moving on. So I apologize to all the 10 ball experts out there watching this. I personally don't play 10 ball super often, so don't understand some of the nuanced rules that come up from time to time. But anyway, Kyle going to try to swing this 3 rails to come around for the 4. Found a friendly bump on the 10. Getting good line for the 4, but is now kind of caused a little bit of a 7-10 cluster. But the 7 does appear to go in the top right corner, so not exactly a dead cluster. He's going to get a bump on the 6 here. Real friendly. And so Kyle is calling the side pocket there. Was able to actually bump that 7 out as well. So really good leave here for Kyle. Kyle's been playing pretty smooth. Oop. Caught the jaw there at the right angle. Nice stop shot there. Alright, doesn't really have to worry too much about his stroke because he's going to get the natural angle for the 10 in the top right. So just pot the 8. Yeah. Of course I say that. He shouldn't worry too much about his stroke and then puts a little too much power on it. But nonetheless, actually has a look here. Alright, and with that, Kyle has found himself to the hill. Now currently up 8-4 over Rafael. And because he's on the hill, the odds have drastically increased in his favor. Especially with him breaking. Alright, so let's see if Kyle sticks to the right side of the table for his break. Nope, he also decided to switch it up. That's interesting. Both these players kind of had found some better success breaking from their left, but decided to switch it up. Alright, got the 5 in the top left corner. And he does have at least a piece of the 1. He might actually be able to make it. Alright, so he did call the bottom right corner. Good thing about this shot is the cue ball's path just heads back up table. Alright, so Kyle should play a safety here. Since he is in the lead here in games, he can kind of just bide his time. Maybe force some errors here from Rafael. Yeah, it's a really good defense. Really good touch. Raf's gonna have to jump over 2 balls, which is pretty big distance. Just get comfortable, find the strike point, and go for it. Oh, he shaved it. Nice. Good contact. Not the outcome he wants, but at least it's, you know, not a ball in hand. So he's going to roll this up. Nope. He's always tricking me with the way he strokes. It's like, it kind of looked like he was aiming on the top part of the ball and then just goes low. It's It's really interesting. Yeah, like with that one, he was aiming top and then he went middle. So really interesting stroke and sort of stance style, but it's absolutely working for him. So no notes. He's going to overrun this, but he's kind of been running and getting good positions still, so it's not the end of the world. So I think I just do a little stop shot here, send the 6 all the way down in the corner pocket, and then you have the 7 in the right side pocket. Nice shot. Overran it, but that's fine. You can just go 7 in the bottom right corner and actually have a pretty good look at the 8 in the lower left, because you can kind of stun draw this a little bit. Or if he needs to come across, he can, but that's a bit more ambitious. Not going to give up a shot, but he does leave a bank. This part of the game is kind of interesting too, because obviously Kyle's on the hill, and so don't know if Raf wants to play aggressive and possibly sell out, but on the other hand, the last thing you want to do is have a failed safety. And oh boy, yeah, super unfortunate. It's kind of the nerves kind of settling into, you know, when your opponent is ahead by several racks and you want to do the right thing to stay in the match, and you're kind of juggling ideas of playing offense versus playing defense. But anyway, Kyle's gonna be set to take advantage of that error, as he's kind of been doing all game. So now all he has to do is draw this back into the rail, and he's got perfect position for the 10. Ooh, hoo, hoo. Shake, rattle, and roll, but Kyle pulls out the win here. 9-4 over Rafael. Really good match here. Thank you all again for joining me on this Wednesday evening. My name is Zach Ross. This is Ox Billiards in Seattle, Washington. Hope you all are having a lovely night, especially if you are here in the Pacific Northwest after that crazy wind storm we had last night. Hope you all are safe. Hope you have your power back or will have it back soon. If you enjoyed this match, feel free to check out the description of this video. Send a donation to Ox Billiards Venmo account. We appreciate any donations here. And again, thank you so much for tuning in. Really appreciate y'all. Y'all have a lovely evening and good night.